Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to TechBlock. So yesterday, Razer ended up inviting me and a few others to a very top secret event over in the Razer store in London to unveil to us the Razer BlackWidow version 4 Pro mechanical gaming keyboard that I have right here with the Razer yellow switches that have been improved. Everything here has been improved. This is without a doubt probably the best BlackWidow they've ever put out to the market. This is bringing back, I would say, possibly a fan favorite feature that has been missing for many of the generations of the BlackWidow lineup keyboards. But now it's back, and it's dedicated macro keys with now a brand new Razer command dial. And you also get 3 more macro keys on the side of the keyboard now for like profiles or macros. It's sick. We'll get to all of that in a second. But yeah, massive shout out to Razer for inviting me down yesterday. Oh wow, who is this? Who could this be?
We're in the Razer store.
Watching review a Razer mouse. Wow.
There you go. Perfect. This is perfect. I'm happy.
Whoa! Whoa! What happened there?
Oh.
That's fun. Well done. Brilliant. Let's go.
The last one.
Last one that you're going to save. So this one's going to save.
The last of us. Okay, so keys. Once
More
again.
keys, okay.
85993.
593?
Okay, who's going around? Who's going around?
There you go.
Look at this, please. So the way it's over, you press hashtag, put your answer in hashtag again, okay?
Okay, so
Here we go. Following.
593. Hashtag.
And there you go.
Are we in? Are we in? Yay! We're in!
Cheers, cheers.
There you go. Medals. There you go. If any of you are ever in London, I would highly recommend you stop by the Razer store since they have all of their products, including this keyboard now, I imagine. Keyboards, mice, headsets, full gaming setups in all sorts of color schemes, all available there for you to try out in person, see what mice feel best in your hand, what switches you prefer the most in their keyboards. It's a good time. Would highly recommend stopping by there and actually testing out some of the products for yourself. Anyway though, let's get this keyboard opened up, power it on, see all the RGB lights and all of this. So the keyboard of course comes in your typical Razer packaging. We have a little booklet here with, I'm assuming you get some Razer stickers in here as well. Nice matte black booklet. So if you ever get stuck, you can always refer to this or refer to a TechBlock video and you'll learn all about it, man. So of course you get some Razer stickers here as well. Very nice. And apart from that, of course, the actual keyboard itself, this is a big keyboard because it has those extra macro keys and it's a full-size keyboard to begin with. We get a very, very nice wrist rest. This is, I think, without a doubt, the best wrist rest Razer have ever introduced for a gaming keyboard. This is incredible. It's got like a carbon fiber effect almost across the whole wrist rest. It feels premium, very soft, but not too soft that you just hit the plastic beneath it. It's got a nice amount of firmness in my opinion. It's lovely. It's a lovely wrist rest that of course magnetically attaches to the keyboard. If I shift the keyboard here, we have the wrist rest, we have the keyboard, an optional wrist rest, by the way. The keyboard of course has underglow lighting on the sides of the keyboard. This entire wrist rest has underglow basically all around it, apart from the bit that actually connects onto the keyboard via magnets and some contact points to actually, make everything sync up with the RGB lighting. Incredible work. In terms of just looks, like this looks and feels like a very premium keyboard. Of course, the top of the keyboard is made from aluminum. I think it's 52 aluminum alloy or something. It's very nice, cool to the touch. Very premium feeling keyboard overall. In terms of the bottom of the keyboard, we of course get the whole for gamers, by gamers effect, all at the bottom, which looks really nice in my opinion. We of course get some kickstands with adjustability from of course the little kickstand, then you get the big kickstands. Very nice, of course, to elevate your gaming keyboard, and my washing machine's about to finish. Looking at the side of the keyboard, we now get an additional 3 macro keys or profile keys, depending on what you want to use them for. They can be programmed to do absolutely anything, of course, within the Razer Synapse software. And then over on the top of the keyboard, we of course get dedicated macro keys. They have finally returned to the BlackWidow lineup with above them, you might notice there's an extra dial. So not only do you get multimedia controls in the form of previous track, play, pause, next track, and a mute button, that when you press the mute button it actually lights up red, as you can see right there. And we now of course get a volume wheel which you cannot press, it's just a volume wheel that's actually positioned on the side of the keyboard and on the top, very similar to the Logitech G915 that I used to use a while ago. But all in all, very nice implementation, very simple to use for the volume control as well as the multimedia buttons. But then over here we have the new command dial, which could also be used as of course another volume dial for your speakers or your microphone, or if I select the green mode, which is right here, I can adjust the keyboard's brightness just by twisting this dial. Of course, full underglow all around. Currently have it in the wave effect just to demonstrate the crazy RGB. But yeah, once you crank this dial up, you of course max out the brightness, and once you lower it, boom, no RGB, maximum RGB. Incredible stuff. But this dial of course can be reprogrammed to do absolutely anything, just like the rest of these macro keys, using the Razer Synapse software. So on the side here we have the 3 side buttons. We have M1 to M5 and the command dial up there. And if we take a look at this section of the program, we have the command dial settings. So by default, you will only get 4 of these enabled, which will be track jogging, switch applications, window zoom, and keyboard brightness. Of course, you can add many more to this with its own custom color presets. And just like any other macro key, you can control exactly what this function does once you twist this dial. So for example, I set a custom mode up just here to increase microphone volume when I twist it clockwise, and then decrease microphone volume when I twist it anti-clockwise. And I can, for example, just set this to the color green as well, and maybe perhaps remove the keyboard brightness so it's no longer an option to switch to. But yeah, all in all, very nice implementation. Of course, the sky's the limit when it comes to macro keys and what you want to use this for. For example, I could very easily program this to work within my Adobe Premiere software. So I could use this to either zoom in and out of the timeline or scroll through the timeline using the dial. And in Photoshop, you could also use the dial to increase and decrease your brush size, just as an example. Getting back to the software as well, as you can probably see, we have a polling rate setting for this Razer BlackWidow version Pro. So by default, it will be set at 1000 Hertz, but if you're feeling crazy and your PC and or game is compatible with it, you could very well crank up the polling rate to 8000 Hertz, which is crazy. Apart from that, there are only 2 tabs for this keyboard, customize and lighting. And of course in the lighting tab, there are tons of effects to choose from as per usual. So I can do a starlight effect, and as you can see, random keys will start glowing in different colors. Fire effect across the whole setup, including the Basilisk V4 Pro there. We also have a reactive effect and ripple. Pretty cool. So what I'm doing now is transferring a file from this RGB M.2 SSD over the USB pass-through cable. And unfortunately, I think we are limited to USB 2.0 speeds. If I have somehow messed this test up and this is meant to be USB 3.0 compatible, then I'll try correct myself in the comments or the video description down below. But as far as I can tell, this USB pass-through is USB 2.0 speeds only. So yeah, you're talking maybe 36 megabytes per second. Not very quick. So if you're planning on using the USB pass-through to transfer large files from like an M.2 SSD, probably wouldn't recommend it, because from what I can see, yeah, it's probably limited to USB 2.0 speeds. But for things like USB dongles, for example, I've plugged in my mouse right here, absolutely fine. You can plug your headset wireless dongle in there, or your mouse, your keyboard, whatever you can think of, and it's going to perform absolutely fine. In terms of the actual key switches, these of course are the Razer Yellows, as I mentioned before. They use double shot PBT keycaps that actually let a good amount of light through. The entire housing of the switch right here is transparent to also increase the RGB glow. Especially at nighttime, this keyboard just looks incredible. Say with the underglow, you can take the wrist rest off and see you only get the underglow on the sides, but when you attach the wrist rest back on, just like that, the RGB just continues on Really, really impressive here from Razer. It looks great. In terms of the feel of the Razer yellow switches and how they compare to some of the other ones I've tried on the market, these are very similar, I would say, to the Razer red switches that I've been using in my Razer Huntsman keyboards, and the Razer Deathstalker V4 Pro also has a low profile Razer red switch, but these are very similar, I'd say. I'm not sure if I prefer them over the Razer Reds. They are maybe a tad louder in my opinion, especially compared to my Razer Huntsman mini keyboard. The switches on that one are really quiet and just a breeze to use. I really like them. But this in particular, I think they're a tiny bit louder, but they are very nice to actually type on. And yeah, overall, I'm definitely a big fan. Here's a little sound test for you of some of these switches and how they sound like. Anyway though, apart from all that guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, massive shout out to Razer for providing the keyboard for me to check out and make a video about for you guys today. If you want to go pick this keyboard up and check its availability in your own country, see how much it costs where you live and whether or not you can actually buy one, the links to this keyboard will of course be in the video description down below and in the comment section, so you can get your hands on one as well and have a mega pimped out RGB setup. This is honestly a pretty cool keyboard in terms of RGB lighting. It gets my approval. Incredible RGB lighting, Razer. You've done good.